All right, I did some research on how to do bulk move operations in PowerShell, and I found out how to do it, but what I found was that it was just really prone to kind of strange errors or things not being moved that I thought should have been moved, and it just didn't seem consistent. I don't know what I was doing wrong. So instead, I looked at doing it at what it would take to do this in Power Automate, and this seems to be a lot better. The only I guess the only thing that's odd that I ran into with Power Automate is just something must be wrong with my flow, but it only moves folders and their contents. But if you have like a document library that you have like loose files that aren't in a folder, it seems to not move those. But hopefully you don't have like a ton of those, and you could just move them by hand, because it's probably going to be like 10 or 15 small files. So anyway, I'm going to show you how to set up a Power Automate flow. First of all, I've got a site called Dummy Site, and within the shared documents library, I have some folders and also a loose file, so you can see what I'm talking about with that issue with the loose files not moving. But within folder A, I've got a document. In folder B, I've got the presentation. And in folder C, I've got cool presentation and cool sheet. And then over here on Dummer Site, I've got just document library that's empty. So within Power Automate, I'm going to start by creating a flow. And I'm going to do a instant cloud flow triggered manually as needed. I'm going to call it move Sharepoint file. I'll call it folders. Manually trigger a flow and create. And next I'm going to add my next step, which is going to be get files properties only. And I'm going to start with my site that I'm moving from. So I'm going to be moving from Dummy Site. The library is just going to be the documents library. That's what the shared documents is. I'm not going to put anything in limit entries or include nested items. I'm going to continue to the next step. And my next step is going to be apply to each. And from the previous step, I'm going to use value to get my list of items. Next, I'm going to add an action, which is going to be get folder metadata. And maybe this is the issue, is that I'm getting the folder metadata instead of file. Maybe at the end of this video I'll try adding get a file, but again, I don't think it should be a big deal. So we pick again the source site, dummy site, and the file identifier is going to be dynamic from from these values that came through. So I'm going to do identifier. So I've gotten the folder metadata, and next I'm going to add another action, which will be move. So move folder. Current site address is going to be dummy site. The folder to move is going to be identifier. So I think I need to search over here for identifier. destination site is going to be that dumber site, and the destination folder, I'm going to choose shared documents. And I'm going to say, you have a few options here. If it's clean, the destination's clean, I don't see anything wrong with replace. But if it's not clean, it might be safer to do like move with a new name. I'm just going to put replace, since I know this is empty anyway and there shouldn't be any issue. I guess what I'm saying is it's probably best to make sure that there won't be any issues when you copy, rather than be in a situation where you're like, oh, move with a new name, because then you're going to be in a position where you're just going to be over here fixing all these things that were moved with new names. So you might as well make sure that the destination is clean to start with. If you wanted, you could make a folder here, instead of just specifying shared documents. You could specify that new folder. That'd be like called files from dummy site or something like that. But this is all you need to do in order to get it going. And when you do more of them, you're going to have to come back through and change the current site address, destination site address here, and the site address here. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4 things that you need to change. Each time that you do one of these consolidation actions. But putting in 4 URLs, like changing the source and destination, that's still going to probably save you a lot of time with these really big move operations. So hit save, and we save our the SharePoint folders. I'm going to now go to the flow that I just set up and created for you. I'm going to hit, actually I like to expand it so that I can see the run history right here when I run. So I'll just hit run. It's going to check the permissions, and that's all good since I'm a global admin. Continue. Then I'm going to hit run flow, hit done, and then I should be able to refresh and see my status here. Let's refresh it. It's running. Running. Let's see if I see anything going on over here yet. Yeah, I do. So those just disappeared, and they should have shown up here. And let's see. So this shows a failure, but let's see if these came through. It looks like they all came through fine. So I'm not sure why it's showing from the run history a failure, but it appears that it ran. Let me see if we have something in errors. Let's see if I can run it again, even though it's already moved the folders that it would move. Let's see if it'll still completes with the failed, but again, It looks like it moved them just fine. So I wouldn't worry about I wouldn't worry if it shows as failed if you go back and check and you see that everything moved that you were expecting to move. And then let's just for the sake of, you know, so you can see what needs to change each time, let's move everything back. So I'm gonna edit this flow now, and I'll come into Get File Properties. We're gonna go from dummer site, change that to Documents, apply to each, change this to dummer site, change this to the dummer site, and change this to dummy site. I'm going to save, and let's run this. Run the flow. Let's see what's going on here. So I got folder A came over. It's like folder C is still moving. Yep, folder C came over. It's moved. I got all my files. So this hopefully should, you know, maybe be a little bit more robust than trying to use like Z Drive to drag and drop things, because with Power Automate you can start a flow and you don't have to really sit there and babysit it. You can kick it off and check on what happened later. So that's what I would suggest trying to do, is just walk through this video and create a flow to move your folders, and then just each time you're working with a different library, just go in and change the parameters. Thanks.